Okay, will you hit okay? You're a co-host. And then Facebook Live, you're gonna do the same thing. Okay, so now more. You wanna go live on Facebook?
Okay, are we ready?
Almost.
Okay.
Share on your page. Share on the Upper Bead Society. Hello, everyone. I do believe we are live now. Welcome. I'm Rochelle from the Upper Midwest Bead Society, Bobby Bead. We're here live at the Bobby Bead showroom / studio. And live here, we've got the mother of our Upper Midwest Bead Society, Diane Fitzgerald, who started this wonderful bead society in 1989. And so we have her to thank for all of our wonderful years and years of great companionship and beading community that we've been spreading around the world. We have members all over the place. And so a few announcements to get to at the top of our show before we have Diane Fitzgerald teaching the brick stitch. And then we have a trunk show from Amy Katz. So first we'll hear from our current president, Jan Carlson. So let me spotlight Jan so that she can give us some announcements.
Okay, the first announcement I'm going to talk about is the UMBS website. Today is the day that we're changing the password for the protected pages. We've got a blog page and a member only page. So look for an email coming out for that. If you don't get the email, that's a good suggestion that probably you haven't paid your dues. So, so you might want to double check on that. You can look at a date on your membership card, or you can check with Becky. So the other thing I want to talk about is the spring bead retreat that's coming up. There's information on the bead retreat page on the website. And there's quite a bit of information there about the retreat itself, if you take a look at it. But for those who haven't been to the retreat, it's a Lutheran Bible camp. It's out in the country. We have a common room that has windows all along one side, and you're looking out at the lake. And we set up in that room. You bring your beading supplies. Be sure to bring your task lamp. We set up on tables, and your stuff just stays there for the whole time. The retreat goes from Wednesday, I think you can arrive at noon or thereafter. It goes through Sunday, but you can day trip at any of those days, or you can go any combination of days. Like if you wanted to go Thursday and Friday, you can certainly do that. We have sleeping arrangements for 24 beds, so it's definitely a first come, first served. The day trippers would not count in that. We have daily brunch and dinner, so just 2 meals that are served in the dining hall at the camp, and that's included in the registration, and you'll see that on the registration form. The rooms are set up. There's 4 bunk beds. We only do the bottom bed in each room, and there's a bathroom with a shower and toilet, so it works out very nicely. So Deb, you had some other questions about the retreat. Anything I didn't cover?
I did wonder, because it's at a Bible camp, is there a religious component?
Yes.
And then also, just like, do you just set up and bead independently there? Are there classes throughout, that type of thing? And could you bring a bottle of wine or a beer or something like that?
So, okay, first question, was about the religious component. The only component of the Bible camp is that there is a camp director that leads us in prayer before we eat. That's it. Nothing else.
That's nice.
Yeah, which is nice. In terms of bringing stuff, you can bring whatever you want to bead, whatever you want to pack in your car and cart in. Oh, and the nice thing this year is that we've got a cart that is a 2-wheel, 4-wheel convertible cart. We'll have that available to bring stuff in from your car, so that's nice, and you can drive up to the front. And there are 2 classes that we've already designated. Diane is going to teach a class that's really a continuation of the Let's Bead Live today. So she'll be doing that class. And then Doris Coghill is going to teach a class. And again, the information and the supply list is on the website. She'll do that whenever we want to. So if everybody says, oh, let's do it on Thursday or Friday or whatever, she'll do that class, and she'll probably be willing to repeat the class if other people want to take it. And the last question, I'm forgetting. I didn't jot it down. What didn't I cover, Deb?
Wine.
Alcohol.
Wine.
Oh, yeah. I know it's
bring alcohol, but they don't want it in their face. You know what I mean? When you're welcome to have it as long as you don't cause any trouble with it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put it in the recycling either.
Yeah, we take our bottles home with us and we go, but bring it.
Thank you.
You do have to bring your own bedding, and I'm going to highly recommend that you bring like a sleeping bag or a foam to put on the beds, because the beds are hard. They're made,
Beds are hard.
meant for kids.
Okay.
But a lot of impromptu stuff comes up. People will
Yes.
say, how do you do that? And a class just happens.
Okay.
And Doris brings her beads, and she has a whole online shop, and she brings and sets up, and sometimes there are other people that bring beads for sale also. So if you forgot something, there's a good chance someone will have it.
Yeah, and if you have supplies that you just want to get rid of, you can set them up for free, or you can put a price on them.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions?
Plus, well, I just want to say that we'll also have books from Textile Central Library that belong to the Upper Midwest Bead Society, and we'll have those there for sale too.
Oh, good.
Yep, and there'll also be some door prizes as well, drawings. People have been donating some door prizes. We have Toho challenge kits, and Hannah's donated some beads, Lampert beads she made, and a pattern. So there's anybody else that wants to donate as well to our Bead Society goodie bags or door prizes. There are 24 people that will be staying overnight, and then there's a few day people that go every day. So if you just want to go for one day, drive on up and then come back to the cities. It's only about at most an hour drive. It really is very close. That's a beautiful drive as well.
Do
And
most stay there? Or do they drive from the cities in the day?
drive from the city in the day. That's what I did last spring with someone picked me up and drove me there in the morning, and we got there before brunch. So we were able to have the raspberry French toast for brunch, and then had a wonderful day of beading, and then we drove home. And it was a beautiful day. So I just had a 1-day trip there, because since I work all the time, Thursday is my day off. So I usually go that one day. So if you can only make it one day, that's okay. It's fun. It's a wonderful beading community. I took a walk. It was the fall retreat. So it was a beautiful fall day. So I walked around the peninsula and saw all the fall colors.
Oh,
It was
nice.
nice to take a stretch in the middle of, several hours of beading. So we had a great time. It was really nice.
And the
Sure.
dates are March 29th through April 2nd.
And
this
Hannah put a link in the chats as well, so then you can follow the link. It's all the information's on the umbs.org website on the retreat page. So just follow that link.
Has
So,
the fall one been set up yet? The dates?
You just said the 28th,
29th.
29th through the 1st.
Of, you
April
said
2nd.
March to April, right?
Yeah,
March 29th to April 2nd.
Is
Yeah.
it, yeah, and you also said that there's a fall retreat. Are those dates set?
Those dates are on that website, yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
All the information's on umbs.org website. And so for class information, what's coming up for our member meeting, you can go to the calendar page and to see what's happening for our Let's Bead Lives. Our March Let's Bead Live is March 18th. So mark your calendar. And there's a class by Lisa Dooley and by Roberta Sorensen. And so go there, get your supply list or get your link to go get your kits and get ready for next month. And for the next Monday meeting for members is on March 6th on Monday night. And so check all the information out for that on umbs.org and renew your membership there too. There's an easy PayPal link there for them, and that's the membership page. So it's all a one-stop shopping, and then you can find more information on UMBS Facebook page, which is obviously where you might be watching us too. So there's a Zoom link. If you ever want to join us through Zoom, there's a Zoom link to join us there as well. So we want you to join any way you can. And so do we have any more announcements?
I would like to talk about the March, our March meeting.
All right, so let me get Hannah Rosner spotlighted here.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
So for the March meeting, we are bringing in Ann Mitchell, who is a friend of mine, who is a very talented silversmith. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But when she comes in, she's actually going to speak about defining your creative voice in a noisy world. There's so much online stuff right now that it is hard to separate yourself from what you see on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook. So she's going to talk about how to really make your own work stand out and how to find your own inspiration and how to really separate yourself from other people's work in a really noisy world. Now, Anne was a silversmith. She got into it. She says she likes to work on a new problem every time she comes into her bench. She likes to refine a technique or trick or unlock something new in her medium. And her work is really exquisite. So she's going to talk about that and how she got to silversmithing, which is really kind of wonderful. And also about how to manage these social media influences in your life. So we will see you there on what is it, Monday, March 6th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. That's Central Time.
Hannah, can you send me her email so I can put her in the database, please?
I'm happy to. Hang on, let me just write that down so I don't forget.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So,
Super. All right. So now we are so excited to introduce our founding mother once again, Diane Fitzgerald. She has written so many books. I'm not sure how many. Oh. I hit the wrong button.
Hi, everybody. I guess it's my turn. Right? We're cooking here.
You look beautiful.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yes, I am indeed the founding mother, and I am so proud of this Bead Society, what it's done for its members. And in particular, thank you to all past and future presidents and board members and committee members and anyone who has lent a hand to make this so successful. I've seen how it's changed people's lives, and it gives you a great deal of pleasure to bead with friends. So Thank you all again. My thinking today that I want to do is hopefully instill in you that Brick Stitch is not the awful stitch some people say it is. I think Brick Stitch is a fantastic stitch. It may not be as quick as Peyote Stitch or some others, but it's Brick Stitch has some benefits and some attributes that are not possible with other stitches. And I hope to give you some background on the stitch because it's used worldwide. It's been used for centuries. And this morning I thought, well, perhaps I should review what I wrote in Beading with Brick Stitch about the history of the stitch. We don't often think back to where these stitches come from, but they are very important to have that sense of continuity from where they started in cultures, thousands of years old. So let me just page through my book a little bit here and give you a little flavor for what this is all about. So this is my book that I wrote in 2000, published in 2001. Actually, I started it probably a couple years earlier, but I was quite, I have to say, I was quite impressed with my writing of this history. Interweave Press required that I write a 5,000 word history of Brick Stitch for the series of books that they were doing. I don't know if more than one or two other people have ever read the history. I'm going to give you a little bit of it today. So a little introduction here. First of all, I want to tell you that many of the people in this picture that helped me are still beading, and they're still great beaders. I saw several of them today. You might recognize, let's see, Doris Coghill was giving a class at the bead retreat, and Sue Manchester is frequently around. You might still know Jane Langenbeck, Liana McGee. Cheryl Erickson had for years had a store down in Des Moines, Iowa. She now is back in the Twin Cities and an active beader. She will also bring her bead store to the retreat. So there's lots of opportunities to catch up on things you've been missing. So one of the pictures that I think is kind of fun is this picture of, let me see, can you see her duster earrings? Those are still popular. I think that's a perennial favorite among people that do beadwork and wear earrings, made with Brick Stitch. So I want to also tell you that Brick Stitch is used around the world. And here I have examples of two little Zulu children. Is that the best way to do this? Okay. And they're wearing many, many pieces of beadwork around their tummies, around their necks, on their wrists, on their ankles. And beads are so much a part of the Zulu culture that it's their, I think that's their main art medium. I think the Zulu people still are among the best beaders in the world. Americans are doing really well. We're doing very innovative things like never before seen in the history of beadwork in the world. But still, the Zulus, some of their techniques, I am impressed with. This is a typical, there we go, let's see, there we go. So this pictures of two Zulu girls. Many young Zulu girls would wear all their beadwork and then have their picture taken for their boyfriends who might be going off to work in the mines or going somewhere, and they wanted them to have a picture. Many of them are bare-breasted, and they have, you can see the rows and rows of beadwork around their necks and their tummies and their ankles, their wrists, even some in their hair. Many of the stitches that the Zulu people use are based on Brick Stitch, as are the Bushmen of South Africa. The Bushman people do these beaded pieces that are dangling from this woman's headdress. This is simple Brick Stitch, lovely to do. A nice little element that can go into a freeform piece or make several of them to wear as a necklace. It's just a matter of how you want to put them together with your colors. And actually the Bushmen have to make their own beads. Let's see, here we go. This is a bracelet that I bought. I did actually go to South Africa, and we actually met a Bushman who brought many of his things over to our hotel to sell. They make their own beads out of ostrich eggshells. They break the shells up into little pieces, pierce them, string them, and then rub them in a channel to round them. So this is a brick stitch bracelet, not peyote stitch. Here's a picture of the little baubles up close. And you can see that they're a nice little funnel shape, open to some stripe or triangle designs. One Christmas, my husband surprised me with this beautiful hat. It's made around a basket. It has horns on the sides, knobs on the top and the front, and quite colorful. It's packed away in a box right now. I haven't seen it lately, but then we get to the Victorian era, and lo and behold, the Victorians too. They use tassels on many things, and here are some tassels, the Victorian tassels. My mother found these for me at a flea market or someplace, and made with brick stitch. And the patterns for these are in the book. Another possible purse that was possibly made with brick stitch, panels of brick stitch joined with netting. Victorians were, and here's kind of an interesting one, where you can take a piece of wire, form it into the shape of a butterfly, and then bead with brick stitch around that wire. It's quite a, you could take a paper clip and bend an interesting shape. And at the end of this, you will know how to do that. In an antique store, I found this lovely writing mat. It was in purple velvet, but it has a beautiful brick stitch edging on it. Tiny, tiny beads. I think I've given it to Doris Coghill when we moved recently. But this perhaps is the most interesting piece in my book. My sister found it for me, and at first she thought, oh, she shouldn't buy it because it had so many broken beads, but evidently she decided to buy it. Well, the interesting thing about this, most of these bead mats from the 1920s and 30s were made with peyote stitch. But this one, as you can see right in the center, see where those little beads cross right in the center? Clearly, this one was made with brick stitch. And I was overjoyed to think, I have another piece for my book. So then we also have the Native Americans, the Comanche, and several other Indian groups that use brick stitch frequently for handles on their fans and their their pipes and things like that. They used it a lot. So the beads, came to South Africa by the way of India and brought down the eastern coast of Africa, and they came to the American shores. Evidently, Columbus had brought some. I did find a little excerpt from a book that said in 1492. I have to turn the book so I can read this to you. First record of the introduction of trade beads among American Indians goes back to Columbus and his landing on Watling Island, October 12th, 1492. Listen to what he wrote. Soon after, a large crowd of natives congregated there. In order to win the friendship and affection of that people, and because I was convinced that their conversion to our holy faith would be better promoted through love than through force, I presented them with some red caps and some strings of glass beads, which they placed around their necks, and with other trifles of insignificant worth that delighted them, and by which we have got a wonderful hold on their affections. So that's the word from Columbus. And now we're going to go right into working on how you do brick stitch. So most of this book is now out of print, but I do have sell PDF copies of it. So if anyone wants one, I'll bring a copy to the bead retreat so you can look at it more in closer detail. I didn't bring the piece that's on the cover, but I can show you a very similar piece. I was into the paisleys. So I think this has I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 paisleys on it. A lot of paisleys. No, that's fine. It's fine. Anyway, I love these. It's a beautiful piece. I really got into making paisleys. I will admit that they are rather tricky to get a nice gentle curve on on the paisleys. Do you see, getting that curve nicely? Not all of them have a really good curve. So anyway, so let's go to Brick Stitch Basics. If you haven't downloaded this and printed out a copy, you'll be able to see it on the side of your screen. So we're going to begin with a brick stitch base row. And that's everybody. So we got that up there. Okay, page 1. Let's see. So I'm going to show you with large beads. And I think when anyone is demonstrating beadwork, number one, they should use extra large beads, and the beads should be opaque and not transparent or shiny. So I'm going to use these large purlin beads, and I'm going to begin with what many of you are probably familiar with, a single needle ladder. We're going to pick up, I have a stopper bead on, and you can see I've got a red stopper bead on here to stop our beads, and we're going to pick up 2 beads. Actually, on this one, I don't need the stopper bead. We're going to tie these 2 beads together on the bottom. So I make a square knot on the bottom of these 2 beads to pull them together like little soldiers. And then the other half of the square knot is right over left. Left over right and right over left. All you Girl Scouts out there know that, right? I will pass upward through the bead on the right. I think the thing that I can help you most with, and that I would like you to understand, the most important thing about beadwork is how you hold the beadwork. It can go easily or you can fight it, but the important thing is holding it. So I'm holding, I always, in classes when I had beginners, told them, take the beadwork between your thumb and your forefinger. Take your working thread, wrap it over your forefinger, and hold it in place with your middle finger. I'll do that again. I'm placing the thread over my fingernail of my forefinger, and clamping that in place with my middle finger. Got a little sandwich there, and the beads are the good stuff in the middle. So I'm going to pass upward through 1 bead. Pull the thread all the way through. I'll pick up my 2nd bead, my 3rd bead. I have 2 on. Now I'm going to pick up a 3rd bead. And if your thread is coming out of the top of the bead, we want to come up from the bottom of that last bead, pull it up, so it's in there nicely, and then pass. Did you see how automatically I wrapped and clamped my threads? This does a couple things. It helps you keep your tension even, but I think the important thing about wrapping your thread and holding it with your forefinger is that it guides your eye to where your next stitch is to be taken. So I'm going to pass downward through my new bead. And now we have 3 beads in our single needle ladder. We'll add the 4th one a little differently. I'll pick up another purple bead. Since we're coming out of the bottom, we're going to pass it downward through that last bead, pull the thread all the way up, snap it into place, wrap and clamp, and pass your needle up through the last bead. So there you have your single needle ladder. This makes a great way to start brick stitch. You can make your ladder 2 beads tall, you can make it 4 beads tall, anything you want, 3 beads tall. That's the basic single needle ladder. Any questions so far? Hearing none?
I do.
Okay.
I could not see what you were doing at the very beginning.
Okay.
And so I did not see the knotting part.
It's this typical square knot. If you have, I began by putting on, I'll just cut this off and start it again.
And then could you, maybe I'm more of a novice than others, but could you tell us what would be a good type of bead for us to be using as we're trying? I mean,
if you're, I don't know what level of beader you are. If you're a complete novice, you may want to start with these large plastic purlin beads that you can buy at a craft store. They're large holes. I'm using a large needle. I'm using a tapestry needle. and very thick thread. And
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
not
like,
quite that. I was just wondering, like, do you typically use ICOs? Do you,
I
seed beads?
typically use delicas. 95% of my work is with cylinder beads, which are either ICOs or Miyuki delicas.
And then do you use Fireline or?
I use Fireline 6-pound smoke almost exclusively.
Okay,
I use a size 10 beading needle, and most of the time I work with thread double because my tension is quite soft, and I feel that having 2 threads in place instead of one gives you more durable work. Some people like to bead with single thread. I prefer a double thread, and I'll show you my method of beginning with a double thread in a few minutes.
okay, I'm sorry, but one more thing. I don't know about other people, but I'm seeing you on the side of the screen right now again. It's very small. That's better for me. I don't know about others, so I don't want to speak for everybody, but.
The hand there, the important part.
Yeah.
So now do you see it on the full screen?
Yes, I do. I don't know
Right,
about.
and so we were going back and forth between showing you the pattern and then her hands, and so now it's back to her hands.
Thank
And so then she'll show you more now.
Okay, I'll start again. I'm going to pick up 2 beads. I'm going to push them near the end of the thread. I'm going to make a square knot on the bottom. I'm going to pass the left thread over the right thread and around to tie these 2 together. And then the right end over the left end to complete the knot. There's my first 2 beads ready to continue. I'm going to pass upward through the bead on the right. I'm going to pick up my 3rd bead, and since my thread is coming out of the top, we want to go into the bottom of that last bead and add the new one. Now, my thread is coming out of the second last bead, so we have to go down through the new bead, be ready to add another bead. This time it's the opposite. We're coming out of the bottom of the bead, and we're going to add 1 bead and pass down through the last bead, the previous bead, wrap and clamp, and pass upward through the new bead. So that's your single needle ladder. I think as much as we can begin to standardize terms for these things, the better we'll be. We're never going to be completely there, but this is generally referred to as a single needle ladder, because you can make a ladder similar to this with 2 needles, but I don't recommend it. All right, so moving on, I'll just cut this off. We'll go to, it's a good way to move on. Okay, the next one that we're going to do is going to be, it's similar to peyote stitch. And we're going to begin by picking up 3 beads. I'll pick up 3 green beads. 1, 2, 3. Pass them near to the end of the thread. Pass back through the very first bead. Pass back through the first. Back through means opposite of the direction that your thread was passed the last time. So if you go back 1 page, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner where I've explained a forward, a pass through, and back through. Pass through is continuing in the general direction of your work. It's right at the top of page 2, Rochelle.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Okay, good. And back through means back in the opposite direction. Clarify that. Okay, so we've got our 3 beads on here. We've passed back through the first bead. Now we're going to make a knot. Again, left over right and around. And then right over left and around. Now we'll pick up 1 bead. I'll pick up a purple one. And we'll pass upward through the 2nd bead on the string. And pass upward through the 2nd bead. Everybody see that? Okay. I guess it's the same color. My skin kind of. So there it is.
Want me to?
Okay, I can just put it up here a little. Here, there we go.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. Now we don't have to adjust it. Okay, now we're going to pick up our fifth bead, pick up a yellow one. We'll pass this bead on the right is sticking out a little, so we'll go down through that one. Basically, this stitch is back and forth. And I hold it like this. I'm coming out with my thread coming out on the right, pinching between my thumb and forefinger and wrapping and clamping. See how my thread goes over my fingernail and is held in place with my middle finger. After a while, after 30 years, your fingers just automatically are bent that way. There's no hope of going back. I'll pick up one more stitch. We're going to go this time right to left. Okay, and we'll pick up one more and we'll go left to right. Just turn your hand slightly. And there you have a nice base row to begin your brick stitch.
Can you start that one again, Diane? I somehow, all my beads fell off.
Oh, well, you have to hang on to them. Yep, you got to tie a knot. Yep, I can start it again. Start a new thread here.
Yeah, you have that great little pattern with the teacups that starts like that and
Yeah.
continues on. I took that one.
Okay, I'm going to start by picking up 3 beads. Okay, hold on to your beads now so they don't come off. You don't want them coming off the bottom. So there's my 3 beads. I'm passing back through the first bead added. Back through the first bead added. And they form a nice little T. If I can get it. There's a nice little T. Okay. Now you have to put a knot here. And before you let that knot slip into a bead, you're going to add another bead. Unaccustomed as I am to Zoom classes, my thread is wiggly, but we'll manage here. And right over left. Now don't let your beads slide off yet, because that knot is going to want to fall into the bead hole. I'm wrapping, I'm getting a hold of your, here's your 3 beads between my thumb and forefinger. I'm going to add 1 bead and pass upward through that bead that is sticking out. A very technical term. And we'll add another purple and we'll go. You see how I'm shifting my hands a little bit this way, so I can just slide that bead from left to right, pick up another bead, and this time we'll go right to left.
Life-changing, life-changing.
Which part? Which part?
Just all of it, because I've never done brick stitch.
Okay, well, this is a base row for brick stitch. So this is what we need to learn first. I think I figured out 5 different ways to do a base row for brick stitch, and each has its advantages. This gives you, the advantage of this one is that it gives you 2 rows of beadwork right away. So you've got rows 1 and 2 completed. Now I'm going to go back through. I want to make a little bit bigger piece for later when I want to use this as my demonstration. I'm going back and forth. Pick up a bead. Okay. First of all, holding it between my thumb and forefinger, wrapping it over. This is the important thing. Wrapping it over my finger and holding it in place with my middle finger. Really important. Pick up 1 bead. A few here. Whoops. Oh, they're running all over. Get back here. Get back here. They're always trying to escape.
I know.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I let them. I think they're just going to run off like that and don't want to be part of the beadwork. Go. I don't care. There's many more willing to take your place. Okay, so I'm going right to left. I'll just do a couple more here. Okay. Now I've got a nice little piece that I can use it for my demonstration later. I'm going to knot between the beads. This is not in the instructions, but I'm going to pass between the 2 beads where my thread is exiting. Pass between. I'm going to put my needle through the loop and I'm going to pull tight, and now my piece of beadwork is secure. Okay, so that's number 2. Whoops, we missed. Oh, number 3 is next. This one is related to crochet. And this type of starting row will lend itself to a more curved piece of beadwork. It's not, I don't know if it's in any other book. Somehow it came to me as I was crocheting, I suppose, or thinking about this whole thing 20 years ago. But I want to show you this beadwork because it's a good one. Stretch my thread a little. Okay, so I'm going to pick up, let's see here if I got the right beads here. There we go. Okay, this time I'm going to use some size 6 seed beads. I'm going to pick up 2 beads. Okay, everybody with me? Pick up 2 beads, slide them near the end of your beadwork. Tie them together like we did on the previous one with a square knot. This time I'm going right over left and around, and then left over right and around. Okay, so our beads are on there securely. Pass upward through the bead on the right. We're going to pick up 1 bead. We're going to, instead of, before we go back up through our new bead, we're going to pass under the thread bridge along the bottom where you tied your knot. See how you're going to pass underneath there? And I call this catch the loop. I'll do it again, so don't worry. So I've passed underneath the thread bridge, the loop between the last 2 beads, and then I'm going to go up through the new bead. Make sure your beads are sitting with their sides to each other. This is a little tricky. You've got to really kind of practice this one a little. Let me do it for you again. Here's my 3 beads. I'm going to pick up 1 bead. I'm going to pass my needle between the previous 2 beads at the bottom. From the bottom between the previous 2 beads, pass underneath, pull gently up, holding on to the last couple of beads there. Now wrap and clamp and up through the new bead. You see how that's different? And this will begin to give you a nice curve that you can do increases along here. Do it once more. I picked up 1 bead. I'm going to pass the needle under the thread, or let's see, between the last 2 beads, over the thread. I guess it's over, but it's really under. Is that confusing? Okay, and back up through the new bead. See, we're getting a nice little piece of beadwork that would curve. See how nicely that curves compared to the other one. The other techniques don't curve as nicely as this. Okay, now we'll go, let's see, method 4. We're going to bead around, going to do a base row around a piece of, you could use a piece of fabric, you could use a piece of wire, whatever you want. I'm going to start in the thread here. This is one of my favorite ones. And in a second, I will show you a sample of what you can do with this. Here we go. Look at this fun piece. They're all made the same way. These are all beaded around a coil, a rubber ring. You could use any kind of a ring, a bone ring, a plastic ring. So these are little brick stitch. This actually isn't a base row. This is like little fringes off of a base. Here's the base row. The green beads are the base row, and the other little beads are added on the top. Okay, so let's try that one next. I thread a little stretch there. Okay, I'm going to pick up 1 bead. Now we don't want our knot to be obvious on this. I'm going to, again, hold your tail so your thread doesn't come off the thread. I'm going to go under the loop into the ring and back up through the new bead. Holding onto your tail, we'll secure it in just a minute. The tail's coming out of the top. We've got one bead on the ring like that. We'll pick up our second one. And holding onto the ring and the bead, push this new bead almost into place. Wrap and clamp, pass through the ring and up through the new bead. Now here's the trick to get this curvature. You could pull it this way and your beads would sit with a little gap there, but you want this little gap to be right here so that they fit nicely. So when you pull this, you want to pull right along parallel to the ring. See, pull it to the right. But now we have to secure the first bead. So we're going to go down through the first bead, through the ring, and then up through the first bead again. Just turn it over so you can get at it. There, now that first bead is locked in there nice and tight. We can turn the piece over now and continue beading on the other side. You can work in either direction. I'll pick up one bead, pass this new bead almost down to the last one, pass through the ring, and then up through the new bead. So as I said, you could do this around a wire, you could make a little stitch into fabric, whatever you want. Pick up one bead, push it into place, wrap and clamp through the ring and up through the new bead. Now again, mind how you pull that tight. I want to pull a little bit so that there's a little bit of a wedge open between the new bead and the last bead. Right there, you want to have a little wedge right there so that the new bead, so that the beads form a ring. You got to have a larger circumference because it's larger around than the ring is. Once more, pick up one bead, pushing it all the way down into place, wrapping it over my finger, through the ring, and up through the new bead. And then importantly, pulling to the right. So my thread is parallel to the ring. It's coming right along the same line as the ring. So now we've got a nice little start of a brick stitch around a ring. Now, there's a number of things that you could do from here, but for now I'm just going to leave this aside. And I think we have one more method. Oh, this other method I've never liked, but I put it in here anyway. I've always found it a little confusing. Maybe today it'll go better. Let me just get a
I
piece.
was looking at this on the pattern too and wondering how you did it.
I don't know. I probably saw it in a book somewhere and thought, oh, I better put that in there. So
This is one thing, maybe it was one of the Zulu techniques because they do so many of those repetitive rows that maybe this was a quick way to start. I don't know.
I don't know. I probably found it in a book. Okay, but I'll thread my needle. Okay, I'm going to give my thread a little stretch because it's so wiggly. And I'm going to look at the picture there. Figure 1 shows wrapping this tail around my finger 3 times. Okay, now if you want your beads, we'll do it just like the picture. We'll put on 12 beads and we're going to have a brick stitch base row that's 3 beads tall. So we're going to pick up 12 beads. I'll do all green. 1, 2, I'll alternate colors. 3 green, 3 purple, 3 green, and 3 purple. I hope you're all paying attention because all of these are going to be very helpful when you start making little samples for your collage necklace. All right, now the picture shows going through, not the first, there's your last 3 green purple ones. We're going to go upward through the 3 green, the second last set of 3. lo and behold, they will pop into place. There you have it. There's our first 2 rows, first 2 stacks of beads in brick stitch. Now we'll go to the next one, 3 purple. Pass your needle upward through those 3. There you go. Okay. Password up. Now we have 3 rows, 3 stacks of beads for our brick stitch base row. Okay. Now we've got 1 more set. Pass upward through the first 3 green beads. I try not to confuse you, but I'm sure that sometimes it's, but you have the instructions. So, but this is quite quick. It's a nice, quick way to do it. And so you've got a nice ladder right started out there. Now, if you want to continue this ladder as a single needle ladder, we pick up 3 purple beads and pass. Our thread is coming out of the top right here by my finger. So we'll pass upward from the opposite end, and we can add 3 more beads. Everybody with me so far?
Yep.
Oh, all right. Now you can always rerun this video if you could stand to later on and look at this again. And if you want to try these again. So I'm going to, but just to finish up this little ladder, I'm going to pass down through the last 3 beads. Now, if you want to knot your tail, your working tail, your tail to your working thread, do that. That kind of secures it. I'm knotting it because I'm probably going to use this when I do a little demonstration now. Okay. So far so good. 5 different methods of doing a brick stitch base row. Now we're going to move on to actually doing brick stitch. So won't that be fun? All right, I'm going to thread my needle and have a go at it here. Let's use this one right here.
So you're doing the pattern that's on top of page 5?
Page 5, that's right. We're on page 5 now. Now, when you begin brick stitch, you always have the choice at the beginning of a row of whether to add your beads so they stick out or whether they're indented. So first of all, we're going to do the beginning here where I work my brick stitch from left to right. So I've got I'm holding my beads. My thread is exiting the top bead on the left. I'm going to pick up 2 beads. I'll pick up 2 yellow beads. I'm going to pass my needle under the thread bridge between the first and second bead. Pull them up tight, make sure they sit nice like little soldiers, and pass upward through the second bead. So you see here how that yellow bead sticks out. So this is a beginning edge increase, beginning edge increase. So now we'll do 1 brick stitch. I'll pick up 1 yellow bead, pass under the next thread bridge. You see how I'm wrapping and clamping to hold my tension? Especially with brick stitch, because if you don't wrap and clamp, you end up kind of chasing the bead. It's going all over, but if you wrap and clamp, it's held in place. Put your needle in and pass upward. Whoops. Yep, I need a little longer thread, but we'll have enough here. Remember, we always want to work left to right. My old thread out of the tail, out of the way. I'm passing upward through the new bead. I'll do that once more. Pick up 1 bead. Pass under the thread bridge between the next 2 beads. Wrap and clamp. And pass up through the new bead. There we have our brick stitch. Now, as I said, when I started this basic brick stitch, we have two ways we can begin a row. Let me go over to this piece now. And I'll show you a beginning edge decrease. Here's a good one to work with. Get some new thread on here. There we go. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I hope you're learning something. Okay, let me get. Okay, we want to be coming out of the bead, the top of the bead on the left. This time, remember now, this one is going to be a beginning edge decrease. This means that your first bead will be indented. So on the last thing that I showed you was a beginning edge increase, and we went under the first loop. This time we are going under the second loop between the second and third stacks of beads, passing upward, and then back up through the last bead. But now look at that first bead. It doesn't sit there very nicely. All the rest of the beads are sitting up nice and straight. In order to make this, we have to lock the stitch. Let me see now. We have to go. Okay. I think it's on the next page. Yeah, I think we have to go to page 6. Yes, decreases at the beginning of the row. Top of page 6. Yep, there we are. So we've got our 2 beads on. We've passed under the second thread bridge. So we're going to go down through the first bead and up through the second bead. And then when you pull that up tight, there they are, popped into place nicely, standing straight like little soldiers, and you're all set to make your next stitch. Everybody get that okay, or do I need to do it again? I can take it out because, let's see here. I'll take it out because it's good. This is a really important thing to understand, the beginning edge decrease. Okay, we're going to pick up the 2 beads. Remember, we're going to pass under the second thread bridge between the second and third stacks of beads. Underneath that thread bridge, back up through the last bead. I wrapped and clamped back through the last bead, then down through the first bead. We're basically going around those 2 beads to make them stand up straight, and up through the new bead. There you have it. So you can also, if you want to, another way to what I call lock the stitch is to pass down through the first bead and through the second column of beads in your base row, and then up through the third column in the new bead. Now you've got your beginning edge decrease. The 2 beads are indented in comparison to the previous sample where the first bead sticks out. The first bead sticks out from the green beads. All right. Now there's a number of ways we can decrease. So the first way, we'll pick up 1 bead. In the sample and in the instructions, it shows 3 beads, but I'm just doing 1 bead here. And we would skip the next loop, skip underneath the next thread bridge and go to the second one and back up. And that's a mid-row decrease. You can just kind of push the beads together. They begin to ruffle a little bit. This was the whole basis of the ginkgo leaf necklace that I taught and sold kits for 30 years. Okay, now we want to do increases. So get another side here. we're going to do increasing. So we'll start out with a beginning edge increase. Figure 3 on page, let's see, whatever page we're at, 6. Okay, page 3. Figure 3. We're going to pick up 2 beads, pick up two green beads, pass underneath the first thread bridge between the first and second beads. Pull the beads up tight, straighten them up. So that's the beginning edge increase. Now we're going to increase in the middle of the row, or within a row. So we'll take 1 bead and pass under the next thread bridge and back up. Now push those beads kind of off to the side. We'll pick up another bead and go under the same thread bridge a second time. Pull it up and back up through the new bead. Now, here's the danger. When you do a middle row, mid row increase within a row, the second stitch that you take covers up the next thread bridge, the next loop. If you don't add a bead into that loop right there, you're not going to have an increase. So let's add one right now. We'll put a green bead in there. I'm going to go up. I've kind of pushed the beads aside so I can see that next thread bridge. I'm going to go underneath there and back up. So now we have got an increase within the row. Kind of push the beads off to the side. We have one more increase that I want to show you. And that's, so first I'm going to take 1 stitch in the last loop, just an ordinary brick stitch. Add it and go back up. But now at the end of the row, if you want your beads to hang out over the edge, like they do at the beginning edge, you see how this bead is sticking out here on the edge? We want that to match the beginning edge. So we're going to pick up 1 bead, and just like the increase in the middle of the row, we're going to go under the same thread bridge, the same loop, and back up through the new bead. If you continue like this, with each row, with the beginning and ending edge increase and increases in the middle of the row, your piece will begin to fan out. You'll have a lovely little fan, just like those San people or Bushman people from South Africa, just like my ginkgo leaf necklace. So many things you can do with this increase pattern. All right. So that takes care of increases. Whoops, there's one more increase that I could show you. And that's called a shared bead increase. Let's see, I have to get some more thread on my needle here. This is a sample.
On page 7.
Page 7, right. We're right at the top of page 7, figure 1 and page 7. Let's see if I have enough. So we're going to start this one. This time we need to have the first 2 stacks of beads are each going to be 3 beads tall. So we're going to put on 6 beads now at the beginning of this row. I'm going to pick up 6 yellow beads. We're going to go under the first thread loop between the first and second beads and back up through the last 3 beads. Now we'll pick up 3 more beads. This time I'll pick up green so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to pick up my 3rd bead. It's going to be a different color because I want you to see the difference here. There's my next stack of beads. I'm going to go back up. Now we want to just increase a little bit. This time I'm going to pick up 2 green beads. I'm going to go down through that purple bead under the thread bridge and back up through that purple bead and the 2 green ones. I guess my thread ran out. Now I've got thread here, I just have to put it back in the needle. Okay. So I'm going to go back up through the purple bead and the 3 green. You see how that makes a very nice wedge shape in the brick stitch? So there's our nice little shared bead increase. And you could do that with a stack of beads, 2 beads tall or 3 beads tall. Obviously, you can't do it with a stack 1 bead tall. Okay. And you can do the shared bead increase as it shows in figure 2 and figure 3. I don't think I need to show you that. Okay. I also want to show you how to do an edge extension. Got enough thread here to do an edge extension. After you've done an increase at the end of the row, now we're looking at figure 4 on the bottom of page 7. Figure 4, bottom of page 7. Sometimes you want to make say you're making a flat shape and you want to have more beads on the row. We can pick up 1 bead. My thread is coming out of the top of the previous bead, go up through the new bead. This is like adding on with a single needle ladder. Okay. And you can make this edge extension as long as you wish. It's like continuing, as I said, continuing with a single needle ladder. I'm picking up 1 bead. Now I'm going to go down through the new bead. And then up. So now we have an edge extension. So there's a green bead that we added and 2 purples. Okay. Okay, page. This is where it starts to get fun now. These are where you begin to make some shapes. So I'm going to just kind of push all my little samples aside. I've already gone over all this material, but I want to show you now how you begin to apply these things. We'll start with, let's start with this piece. If you were doing this bracelet, let's take this one right here, and you could begin with this piece. Actually, you're working off of, I didn't cover this. You're working your first row of brick stitch off of a string of beads. So that means you hook your thread around the thread in between the beads. You go in between the beads, hook around the thread and back up. So, but this one, you're doing all these increases to make this piece curve. And this makes kind of a fun little bracelet. And you just make a bunch of these and string them on your bracelet. That's a fun one. Oops, looks like I've got an earring here. You hooked on the end.
That was one of your trendsetter designs, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. There we go. So there's a nice little earring, and you're working off of a string of beads, just like you would off of any one of the base rows that we did. Yeah, let's see. Here. I have to show you some of the fun little things that came out of when I did the book Beading with Brick Stitch. We had such fun. They got into brick stitch, and especially Joanne Height made so many of these little people. This is all little pieces of brick stitch joined into tubes and sewed together. So this was the Jolly Green Giant. I made Jolly Green Giant, and I made Uncle Sam. So here's his little beard with the triangle made with beginning edge decreases and beginning edge decrease, ending edge decreases. Let's just make one of those little triangles for the fun of it. Take enough thread this time. By the way, when you're cutting your thread, I like to remind people to always cut your thread at an angle. It'll just go right through your needle so much easier. With Fireline, you have to flatten the end a little bit. But let's see if I've got a piece of beadwork that we can work off of here. I usually start with the base and work to the point. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start here with this little piece of base roll that I already have, and we'll build a triangle. Put a little dot in to anchor my thread here. Oh, yes, I'm supposed to kind of keep up a little running pattern, aren't I? Maybe you're getting sick of hearing it. I remember one of my early classes, somebody said to me, you know, other teachers keep on talking while they're showing you things. And I was quiet. Such is life. I think quiet's kind of nice once in a while. Gives you a little chance to rest. Okay, so we're going to bring our thread up. I've already got a row here, 2 rows. I'm going to just knot my thread here at the beginning so we're secure. So we're going to just start with a beginning edge decrease. We want to make this little triangle. So we're going to go underneath the second loop. Want it to decrease on the edge. So what do we have to do when we do a beginning edge decrease? What do we have to do with that stitch? Lock the place. Okay. Back up through the second bead. Down through the first bead. And up through the second bead. Okay. We'll make this row all yellow. I'm going to go underneath the next thread bridge and back up. Now we have one more thread bridge on this row, and one more yellow bead. We won't do an ending edge increase because we want to make a triangle shape. So there's our 4 beads. Now we'll turn it over and now we'll begin the next row. I'll pick up 2 beads. So at the beginning of to make a triangle, you'll always do a beginning edge decrease, pass under the second loop, back up through the last bead, down through the first bead, and up through the second bead. One more green bead. We have one more thread bridge or loop. I'm going to just call them loops from now on. We'll just call this little bit here, this little bridge of thread between 2 beads, we'll call that a loop. So I'm going to go under that loop and back up. Okay, now we'll turn the piece over. So we're working left to right. I always work brick stitch left, right. Some people can work it right to left. I haven't figured out how. So beginning row decrease under the second loop. Back up through the second bead. Now, we know that the next row is only going to have 1 bead. So we'll put 1 more bead on and go down through the first bead, up through the second one. Now we have our nice little triangle. Triangle's a nice little shape. It may not be as versatile as a triangle made with peyote stitch that has 3 equal sides, but it makes a nice, you can make this any size you wish. And I'll show you one of the pieces made with brick stitch triangles. I think this is one of the prettiest ones. I love the flowers. So this pattern is in the book, and it's these triangles are made with brick stitch rows that are each 3 beads tall. and you work the pattern, and you'll work the little scallops in between. I think it's good to use delicas on this or ICOs because they are more uniform in length than seed beads, but it might work out very well to use size 15 seed beads too. But at that time, when I was doing this, size 15 seed beads just were not readily available. But so that's one. I think I brought a couple samples of that. Well, this is a fun one. This one, you can see how we've increased on each. We have the beginning row of size 8 and then with 6 beads. But then we switched to size 8 seed beads, sorry. Our beginning row is size 8 seed beads. Our next row is size 6 seed beads. So they're larger, so they take up more space. And then you can switch to any size bead you want on these rows. You could go from 15s to 11s. You just have to add enough beads to make your curve. Yeah. Oh, one more. Little Santa Claus hanging there by his hands. No, they're cylinder beads. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's why I wanted to show you the triangle so you could make his little beard. Otherwise, you already know how to make all of this. You just have to put the colors in and is the cute. Yeah, the legs are made separate. Okay. Yep, the legs are made separate and sewed onto the bottom of the brick stitch. I made the piece flat and then joined the edges to form a tube. There's a little lower, sorry. Oh, there we go. And so his cuffs are made separate and they're sewed on. His little feet are just a single layer of brick stitch. And there, I think we actually see an edge extension right there for his little toes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And his cuffs are added later and sewed on. And there's the triangle again and a little, tassel on the top. And so you could, when you work this triangle, you can work it off of the bottom of this rectangle or the square or rectangle. And so they're kind of fun to do.
There was a question about how do you decide which way to start? Is there like you always start this way for this pattern, you always start this way for this, or
whatever your pattern calls for. You mean as far as the different kinds of base row?
Yeah, type of base row.
If you want to make a curve, then I would use the one that I called catch the loop. I think it's number 3. If you want to make, if you're going to work straight, then you could use any of the other methods. If your rows are going to be flat across. But one of the advantages of brick stitch is that you can make these beautiful curves. I don't think you can make curves quite as fun in any other stitch. Maybe with herringbone, you could get a good curve with a lot of increases, but I'm not sure.
Is that a QR code?
It is a QR code. It is a QR code. And if you scan this, it would take you to my website.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I looked up my QR code and I thought, gee, if I use little cube beads, I can do it in black and white and it works. So I made it and I put a pin back on it. And I could be a walking advertisement for myself.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Oh yeah, it works. Yeah. You're welcome to try it. Yeah. I'll leave it here, and you can isolate the picture if you want. Anyway, so but here's an example of how you can use the triangles that we just did. I made the triangle, and so it's almost like a pyramid. And so the 2 triangles are connected at the top, and then they're spaced apart with a little tubular bead. And so you get kind of a funky,
right?
Yeah, kind of a funky.
It lays nice, and you get the sparkle.
See if it still fits. These 20 years, I guess I put on a little fat on my kind of tight. Yeah, there it goes. Anyway, so that's a nice thing to do with triangles. And let's see here. Well, the first piece I made that was the forerunner to the ginkgo leaf necklace. I'm flashing back. I was out in San Diego teaching for the bead store in San Diego, anyway. And I was all alone, sitting in my hotel room. It was a rainy night. I think they'd given me some takeout to take to my hotel room. And I started with brick stitch and making fans. And I happened to have this batch of colors with me, and I just kept on making fans, sewed them together, overlapping. So kind of like mermaid scales or fish scales. And when I got home, I ran across these dragonflies that I had and attached those to the top. So, and this is actually a piece of diamond netting, a diamond shaped piece of netting. And these beads are just glued on to the top with E6000. I didn't even put a bezel on them or anything. So, but that's an example of what you can do with brick stitch. Maybe you could get an effect like this with peyote stitch. I don't know. I think it's a good stitch to have in your arsenal of beadwork, your technique bag.
I was just going to mention, Diane, that I just saw through the Bead Museum that's out in the East Coast that they were highlighting your ginkgo leaves
Oh, good.
for a
Good.
new call, maybe a new call for leaves for that museum.
Really? Oh,
I
good.
think.
I sent
saw
a
that.
square. I sent a square to them, for their patchwork, and it had a ginkgo leaf on it. So, were
Is
they?
there a similarity with the Russian leaf and the ginkgo leaf?
No, there's no similarity whatsoever. No.
I didn't think so, but the shape was kind of the same, so I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, the Russian leaf is made with peyote stitch back and forth with edge extensions and edge decreases.
Yes, and I've seen people get real confused on that one.
Yes, I know. I hear you. Now, this piece surprisingly is made with brick stitch, and it's the like
I love
these beads are by Miyuki. I'm sorry, Bobby Bead, but I don't think Toho makes them.
No,
But anyway, no, but they're directional beads. You have to pick them up correctly. But it is worked with brick stitch, flat, and then this tube is zipped together after a while. Now I can't wear bangles, so I put elastic in here.
Oh, what a great idea.
And the elastic is a little stretched because this is so old. But when it was new, it would tighten up and it would look just like a bangle on my wrist. So that's a good way to use bricks. Make your brick stitch flat and then zip your edges together, because with brick stitch, your roll is flat, but your edges are indented or in or out. There's another thing that you can do with little simple brick stitch triangles. In this one, I used matte hex beads with shiny hex beads and just made little triangles. The rhythm of this, I think, it makes a very pleasing necklace, and I interspersed some silver beads. How are we doing for time? Oh my God, I'm way over. I can stop. I'll just listen. I just want to go a little further.
Well, that's the whole point.
Let me go
It's a
just
Saturday afternoon.
a little further,
okay.
because I want.
You're the goddess. You're the goddess.
Okay, I just want to go a little further with this so that you will be inspired to start making some shapes, and especially to pick a bead palette for the retreat so that you can.
Wonderful.
We can work on making a lot of these pieces. We can try making a paisley at the retreat if we want, but this is just got several elements that are sewed together. After I make an element, I just put the two pieces together and sew down through the beads, through one and back up, just like sewing fabric. And this is kind of a jumbled one, but I kind of like it. I like the pink and green.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let me see. Here's another one that I made. You can tell I made a lot of these. Oh, we didn't do a bead around a bead, but I think you can probably figure that out now. But here's some paisleys and some bead around a bead that I'll be showing at the retreat. And but here's the thing. I picked a deep red, kind of a deep rusty red, olive green, and bronze with a few lighter accents. So here's some kind of creamy off-white beads. And, but I think the best thing to tell you is to pick two or three colors. If you pick 2 colors, get a lighter and darker version of each of the colors. And I would bring some 15s, 11s, 8s. If you can, bring some 6s in this color palette. And then, of course, some cylinder beads. So, you'll have, if you bring those, you'll be in good shape. One more brick stitch piece, just little brick stitch rectangles with scallops. And this was inspired by a piece, I think, from Yemen, or I'm not sure who made this originally. I have to go back to the book. And it was called the Telsum necklace. And this is the triangle version. So you can make these put little patterns in the triangles if you wish, and then put little holders. I strung little beads on so they could be strung on a necklace. And
One question here says, I'm seeing a little thread between my rows. Is that how it's supposed to look?
I don't think so.
From right to left? I'm not sure exactly.
I generally don't.
Maybe you're not pulling tight enough.
Yeah, I think that would be it. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit tighter tension.
Or pull back through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a brick stitch butterfly. This was in my book, The Beaded Garden. And it's 4 little units for their wings, and then a drop bead for the body, and a piece of memory wire bent for his little antenna.
Diane, I made that for my daughter after that book came out.
Oh, good. Did she love it? I bet she
Yes,
cherished it.
she was 5 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now she's married.
I think when you give a gift of beadwork, whether or not people wear it or not, they put it in the drawer, and every time they go in that drawer and happen across that piece of beadwork, they think of you.
Yes, and I put it on leather and had
Okay,
it so
did you?
it's let in there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like the beadwork is a stand-in for you. It's to remind you of the I sewed a few paisleys onto this little velvet bag to make I was making so many paisleys at one time. Yeah, let's see what's in here.
Nice.
When we moved, I put all my beadwork into bins, and I have not probably looked at this bin of beadwork for probably 10 years. So it was like Christmas going through here. And so I made open paisleys and then strung this curved piece of beadwork through here. Here's some bead around a bead, and then we made these little spirals. And I love curving lines. So I think they're interesting, and they're very doable with brick stitch. Let me give you a couple more pieces. Let's see. Well, when you come to class, you'll see all these little bits, that I've made. Here's a little conical piece, a little fan, a little beaded bead, fun little beaded bead, piece of another start of a bracelet. I'll dump these out, and you can have a go at me. So this would be a nice piece of wire to bead around. Make some big earrings, maybe with cylinder beads, so it'd be light. I think these 2 little drops were supposed to be earrings at one point. I did manage to make this little golden sun piece. Now this was tricky to get this to lay perfectly flat. And if you're really good at increasing, you can do this. Here's a little piece of, another thing I used for inspiration was that midi, that braid, that what is that called? Anyway, the woman from Italy does a lot of it. When you're working with that fiber braid and you're sewing it together, can't think what that's called. Soutache. Thank you. Soutache. I'll remember. Succotash. Soutache. But there's a lot of inspiration in soutache. And Made a little, oh, here's a nice little spiral piece. Look at there, how you
Oh,
can,
that's
you
adorable.
can make little spiral
Oh.
pieces, little tabular pieces.
Oh,
Another
it's like a single
spiral.
scale.
This piece is really fun to do, and the directions are, you've got the directions in your instructions today. And to make this little zigzag piece, it's actually a bracelet. And this is also in your instructions how to make a piece like this, and you could string it on necklace or whatever you want to do. So I hope with this basics that you've been inspired, and that you will get out a little bead kit for yourself and get it all packed up, ready to go to retreat. And we're gonna have fun.
Oh my God. And so you're teaching on Saturday?
On
Is that
Saturday,
April 1st,
April
right?
1st, right?
If you're gonna do a one-day trip,
Yeah.
then that would be the day to go to Diane's class, would be Saturday.
And I think the time will be from 10 a.m. to noon and 1 to 3. So we'll do 4 hours. We should be able to get, if you come with a lot of little bits, we can work on assembling them, which is the hard part, the challenging part. But if you don't, you can sit there and make little samples, little beaded beads, or whatever you wish. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for having me. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, the most important thing is when you're retired, have some purpose in life. For me, it's doing beadwork and enjoying
Yes.
my friends that do bead. I almost don't want to be friends with people that don't do beadwork anymore. It's so terrible.
I haven't met
much
people
time
until
today.
Yeah.
it's wonderful. I know exactly how you feel because I don't have any that do that, and that they all come to me and ask me to, do their wedding jewelry. I do veils, and I do, all different stuff. And Diane, I met you again at Bobby Bead not that long ago, but the first time I saw you was 2005. And I bought your book from you and you signed it for me. And I made those flowers, all of the flowers out of that book.
Oh, good.
I did them they've been there for weddings. I've done the designs on bridal shoes. It's just amazing. Just keep on going.
Just
you don't
keep on going. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you,
So
everybody.
excited.
I hope you have a
Thank
good
you
day.
so much.
You're welcome.
We're so
Yeah.
excited.
Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh. So exciting. Wow. And so that was loads of fun. And so for all of you who are beading along with us, I've got a little tiny pile here. And so I hope you all have a little pile too. And now we have a wonderful trunk show, a virtual trunk show. I'm not sure if you've ever been to a virtual trunk show before, but Amy Katz is here with us today. And she was one of our speakers for Upper Midwest Bead Society a few months ago, and talking about all of her amazing jewelry. And so we are so darn excited. Let's see, did we make you a co-host? Are you able to screen share? Let's see. Wait a minute. Let me just 1 second.
Well, while you do that, let me introduce Amy to anybody who doesn't already know and love her.
Okay.
Amy was one of the first people to bring me into the bead world, and she's a very wonderful human being. And on top of that, she's been part of the world of seed beads since 1993. She was a student, and then teacher, and then designer. And she really loved high-end jewelry. And so her work is inspired by that. And so I hope that you'll be able to see that wonderful inspiration in the kits that she brings to us today. And I don't know if there's anything, is there anything else I should say? She is a whiz at marketing, and she's just a wonderful human being. So,
well, thank you, Hannah.
sure thing. So
All
have
right.
we made you a host now?
Am I a host? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. All right, I hope everyone can hear me. And I've never done an online trunk show, so this is new for me. I tried to keep it very organized so I don't bore you to death. But I'm going to show you a bunch of goodies. And all my kits, so you know, they come with all the full instructions and everything necessary to make the project. If you receive anything that you're missing something, you just call me and ask me and I send it to you. There's no questions, there's no arguing. That's just the way it is. What I did today is, since your wonderful group that would not take anything from me for doing this, you are all getting a 15% discount on my kits. I'm going to give the
Wow.
discounts to the groups. And the shipping will be free in the United States. I can't do that for Canada, unfortunately, but anything you buy from me today, I will ship to you for free. If there's anything you want, you could go ahead into the chat, tell me bin, your email, and the kit number. I'll have them numbered, and the color that you choose. I have some kits have different colors, some don't. And so I'm going to begin with the first piece. So the first piece is the Aquarius bracelet. This is the gold.
Beautiful.
And let me show you the silver. This piece is an advanced beginner piece. It's an even count flat peyote stitch and a bead embroidery piece. I use gold or palladium plated delicas, cup chain, flat backs, demi rounds, 2 trues, and seed beads to get the look. I have 3 kits in silver. I have 3 kits in gold available. The original price was $120. Your price would be $102. Let me show this again. And that would be $102 with shipping and everything else.
You know, could they also email you? What's your email address?
Of course, they can email me at amy@beadjourney.com.
I'll drop that into the chat in a second. And what's that one called again?
This is the Aquarius bracelet. It's piece number 1.
Okay.
And amy@beadjourney.com if you'd like to. Now, that was the first piece. The second piece is a right angle weave variation where I use some nail heads that I could no longer get. This is the bubble bracelet. This is piece number 2. The silver version and the gold version. For this one, I have 2 silver kits and 2 gold kits right now. It's an intermediate class. We use some ladder stitch, even count tubular peyote stitch, some netting, and it's made with palladium and gold plated beads, seed beads, the nail heads, 2 millimeter round crystals. And the original price was $65 and it would be $55 today with your discount. It's piece number 2. And if you'd rather email me, that's probably easier than me just checking my chat and just telling me what you want.
So amy@beadjourney.com.
amy@beadjourney.com. And I'll show you these pieces all again at the end. We'll go through them quickly. I'm not going to keep you many long hours for this.
Keep me forever as long as you keep showing.
I am going to show you. I'm going to show you about 11 different things today, and then you can decide what you like. These are the Diva earrings. They're brand new. They're named after a beautiful pet named Diva. I have them in black and in turquoise.
Is that
Now,
Swarovski?
There's always Swarovski in my pieces.
Good.
As much Swarovski as I have and can get. It's an intermediate to advanced piece. We're doing even count tubular peyote stitch with variations, right angle weave, cubic right angle weave, and ladder stitch in this one. It's a brand new kit. I just put this one out. Like everything else, I use palladium. Well, here I used the palladium seed beads, demi rounds, crystals, check pearls, seed beads, and 2 trues. I have 2 turquoise kits and 3 black kits available. The original price was 50 and today it would be 42. Is everybody able to see what I'm showing them? I just want to make sure that I'm showing.
Oh, thank you. That helped a lot.
Yeah, just a little higher. Perfect. Looks good.
Okay. I was going to do it with a second camera, but I didn't know if that was going to make any sense or not.
How heavy are those? How are they?
Nothing I make is that heavy. They're
Okay.
not very heavy at all. And if you decide they're too heavy, you can make 2 pendants out of them because they would probably make a beautiful pendant.
Yes, they would.
Amy,
Mm-hmm.
with your permission, can I try something real quick?
Sure.
Okay, hang tight for just a minute. I don't
Please
know
do.
if this will work or not, but
Get my next piece out of the bag.
so don't put those diva ones away or move on yet. I want to try something real quick, okay?
Okay.
Just a second. No, I don't think it's working. Okay, sorry about that. I was gonna try to share the screen with, oh, let me try this.
No.
This is a little slow. Yeah, I don't. Let's see.
You don't need to see me. I'll just I'll just put myself on the side. And somebody wanted to see a bracelet again, but I just showed 2, so I'm not sure which bracelet they wanted to see.
I wouldn't mind seeing the gold one again.
The Aquarius. This one.
Yes, yes,
It's a beautiful piece,
yes, it is.
and it's not hard to make.
They're both beautiful, but I have a friend that loves gold. Everyone else I know will wear silver, white, gold, but she's nope, I need gold. So I'm thinking I'm going to be doing that.
Okay. Well, just so you know, the gold is much harder to get right now than the silver because they're out of gold-plated beads. Everyone is.
I have quite a bit, so I'm hoping
Okay,
that,
good.
yeah.
Well, they come with the kit, but just so
Oh,
you
okay.
know, hold
Okay.
on to those if you have them for sure. Hannah, am I ready to go to the next piece?
Yeah, I was gonna try to share take your Etsy, but my old computer is a million years old, so not working. So we're just gonna do it this way. So.
I've got another bracelet. This one is an intermediate one. It's called the Ellipse bracelet. It has a nice focal pearl in the middle. Let me show you the gold, and then I can hold up both of them together for you. So these are the Ellipse bracelets. They're an intermediate project. They're item number 4. The stitches are herringbone, right angle weave, bead embroidery, and even count tubular peyote stitch. They use palladium and gold plated delicas, seed beads, O beads, 2 trues, cup chains, freshwater pearls, glass pearls, and crystals. I have 1 silver and 2 gold kits available right now. The original price on this was $95, but you would get it for $80 today. And just so you know, when you email me or whatever to order, I will send you a PayPal invoice. So this is item number 4, the Ellipse bracelet. And now we'll move on to item number 5. We're getting a necklace now. This is a really beautiful piece. This is called the Flower Power necklace. It even has a little flower on the side of it. And then, of course, the bottom is a flower. This is also an intermediate piece. This is item number 5. The stitches are even count tubular peyote, herringbone, and flat right angle weave. to make this. I'll give you a view of the flower and the view of the chain. Palladium plated delicas, seed beads, 2 trues, cup chain, glass pearls, freshwater pearls, and crystals. I have 4 silver kits available of this. The original price of this necklace is $130. You would get it today for $110. And this is item number 5, the flower power necklace. And we'll move on to number 6, which is also a necklace. One of my favorites. This is like a rainbow. This is also not a difficult project to do. The band is really neat. It's a spiral herringbone band. And it's also even count tubular peyote stitch and bead embroidery to make the piece. Let me try to get it to stay straight so you could get a good glimpse of, I think that gives you a good glimpse of the piece. This is item number 6. I'd say a confident advanced beginner could do this project. And it used gold plated delicas, demi rounds, cup chain, and crystals to create this. I have 5 kits, and I'll be honest with you, I'm having a really hard time getting the right colors for this. So I don't know when I'll have any more.
Look at the chain on that. That is fabulous.
This chain you could do for other things with different colors too.
That's a nice rope.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful rope. It was $120 with the discount today. It would be $102. And this is like a rainbow. And it's item number 6.
So if you don't tell us the different colorways, the colorways that you have are just
That's the colorway I have on that one.
okay.
That one has just one colorway. Yes, and then there is item number 7, which is the Moonlight Lullaby pendants. I love the faces on these. These are just little pendants. So there's this intermediate project. It's bead embroidery and ladder stitch, basically. I used palladium and gold-plated seed beads, the moon faces, cup chain crystal, and glass pearls for this pendant. I have 3 silver and 1 gold available at this time. The original price was $65, and with your discount today, it would be $55. And this is item number 7, the Moonlight Lullaby pendant.
I love those little faces. Those are so
Aren't they
cute.
cute? When I saw these little faces, I knew I had to make something with this.
And are they porcelain cabs or ceramic or what are they?
Like there's a guy online who makes them that I learned about from someone else, and he does all kinds of different. It's just like a glass piece with I don't know how he does it, to be honest with you.
I've made them before, but with polymer clay. And they've turned out absolutely beautiful because the color of the clay, and then you can bead embroidery and do whatever you want with it. And I know you guys have talked about polymer clay before.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many different ways to make those faces, but I was intrigued with this and I had to do something with it. And that's what I came up with, so.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, item number 8. This is one of my all-time favorite bracelets. This is the Serendipity bracelet. It's an intermediate to advanced project, flat right angle weave and even count tubular peyote stitches most of this. Palladium, delicas, seed beads, 2 trues, glass pearls, and crystals are what are in this. I only have pink chatons right now for this one. There's 4 silver kits and 1 gold kit available. Unfortunately, I could not find the gold sample. So I'm just showing you the silver sample today. And this is item number 8, the serendipity bracelet. It's one of my most popular pieces. Item number 9 is the timeless necklace. The centerpiece of this is actually a metal clay centerpiece. When you have these bigger necklaces, it's hard to show them because of the camera and then you have the little squares with the, let's see if I could get that to sit better. So the timeless front centerpiece, then there's glass pearls on it. This piece I actually designed for a retreat, and then we had COVID and we never did the retreat. So I put it out as a kit. This is the gold version. And timeless is an intermediate to advanced project. Again, cubic right angle weave, herringbone, peyote stitch, and bead embroidery. Those are pretty much my go-tos. And I use gold and palladium plated delicas to make this. And like I said, the clock piece is a metal clay sterling silver piece. And I have 1 silver kit and 2 gold kits available. The original price on this was $125, and with your discount, it would be $106. And that is item number 9, the timeless piece. Now I'm moving into the 2 artsiest pieces I've done. I started playing with metal a lot, and I love metal. And what I came up with are these pieces called Bead Me. This is the Bead Me heart. And what comes with this is you get the instructions and you get the heart. And then you could use your own beads to make these. It's all ladder stitch. It's an all levels project. Let me pull out the blanks so you can see what I have. I have 3 different blanks here with stones in them. This one has a peridot. This one would be originally would be $50, but it's $42 today. So that's the one with the peridot. Then I have a blue zircon, which is $60 with the instructions. All these come with the instructions. But it would be $51 today with the discount. And the third one I have is pink sapphire. And that also is $51 with the discount. So you could get as creative as you want with these. You could put anything you want on them, and you've got a sterling silver piece with your bead work. I love doing these. And the final thing I have to show you is another Bead Me piece. This is Bead Me. This is the original.
Oh, that looks fun.
It is fun. And this is also an all level ladder stitch project. You get the blank and the directions. You get the sterling silver blank. You use your own beads. This is a great way to use up all those little tiny beads that you don't know what to do with. I did it in silver. You could do it in any color. The blanks I have today are, these are all 51. I have a turquoise blank and a second turquoise blank. and a rubelite blank.
So the bead mead pieces include the silver piece and the directions, right?
The silver piece and the directions, correct.
Oh, super.
Yeah, and then you could use up all your old beads. You know how you get a kit and you have like 5 crystals left and 3 crystals left here and there, and this is the perfect thing to use all of that on. It has its supply list with it. It doesn't have it detailed with the amount of grams because I don't know what people want to do with them. But it does have a supply list, so you know exactly what I use to make it. And then you could either follow my advice or not, depending on what you like to do. And you could do tons of things. It's a brand new thing. I'm wearing one today. And so I'm just going to show you the pieces one more time so you know what they are. And then I will wrap up the trunk show for you. So number 1 is the Aquarius bracelet. I have 3 silver and 3 gold. They're $102. Show them both together. And that's number 1. I've got a big messy table with everything all over it. Number 2 is the bubble bracelet. It is also an intermediate project. The nail heads are antiques. I cannot get any more of these. So once I run out of these, this is gone. It will be $55 today. And I have 2 silver and 2 gold kits. Number 3, Diva's earrings. I have them in turquoise and black. I have 2 turquoise kits and 3 black kits right now. These are a nice, they're a little advanced, but they're fun to make. And if you don't like earrings, you can make 2 great pendants out of this. And the price today would be $42 for the kit. Number 4, the lips bracelet. This is an intermediate project and the price today is $80. Number 5 is the flower power. Here it is. Yeah. This is flower power. This is like an art piece. It's got different pieces to it. It's an intermediate project and it would be $110 today. Number 6 is like a rainbow. I have 5 of these kits and I don't know when I'll be getting more. Today it's 102. It's a beautiful piece. Then I've got for number 7, my Moonlight Lullaby pendants with my moon faces. Number 8 is the serendipity bracelet. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is an intermediate to advanced piece, and today this one would be $102. Number 9 is the timeless necklace. This is one of my most popular kits. Everybody seems to love doing this one. And you get to make the little squares on it and little freshwater pearls. It's a nice long piece. This would be $106 today. And we have the Bead Me hearts. The hearts that I have are pink sapphire, blue zircon, and peridot. The pink sapphire and blue zircon are $51, and the peridot stone is $42. And that's an all levels kit. And the final piece is the original Bead Me. And I have 2 turquoise pieces for that and a rubelite. And today these are $51.
Can you show us the rubelite one? The color
Sure.
on that? That would be really. Oh, that's pretty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any questions for me? No?
Those are gorgeous. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit if people are catching this this trunk show, because it's live on Facebook and it's going to be staying on Facebook, how they can contact you and buy things after this trunk show is over. So how could they if they, let's say, because this will be on our Upper Midwest Bead Society page. And so let's say someone comes 2 weeks from now and says, I wonder if she still has that one piece. How would they contact you later to buy kits?
The best way to contact me is at amy@beadjourney.com. And then what I will do is I will pull the kit for you, and then I will send you a PayPal invoice.
Super. So you want them to contact you with their PayPal information too.
Right. Well, if they give
Which
me their email, I have their PayPal information.
Right.
So that's
Super duper.
so
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I tried to make this organized. I didn't know how you wanted me to quite do this.
I think it's great.
I hope that
Your work is so beautiful. I mean, piece by piece and so many colorways in each design. I think you really organized it well for people.
well, thank you. And it's just yes, it's just very hard to know how to do a trunk show online. I'm glad I got some experience with it.
Amy, just to ask you, I just went on Google and I put in your amy@beadjourney.com, and then it comes up with beadjourney.com and then www.beadjourney.com.
Yeah.
Either one of those will work too, right?
amy@beadjourney.com is the email. The others are the website,
Oh,
which
sorry.
I don't really use
sorry.
the
I was
website
thinking
anymore.
email.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Leave it to me.
Oh, someone had asked me about a heart bracelet. I have a heart pendant, not a bracelet. The Bead Me heart. And then I know somebody wanted to, I'm just trying to read through the chats because it's hard
Right.
to to do this and read at the chat at the
Well,
same.
we can translate for you. Amy, your work is creative and lovely. Let's see, what is another one? Thank you, Amy. Your work is wonderful. I'm following your Etsy shop now. There
Wonderful.
was another question. What was the name of the heart bracelet?
Right, I don't have a heart bracelet, it's a necklace. It's just called the Bead Me Heart. You have that on Etsy, but if you order from Etsy, I don't have it, I'm not, the discount is not gonna be there, that's the thing. So you wanna order it directly from me, not from Etsy for this show.
That's so adorable.
Yeah, and so you get this part, you get the frame. You don't get the chain, you get the frame. Now I do have, I just put up on Etsy, a chain of directions, a $5 set of directions for a chain that have been selling like crazy. And this is the chain that you can make. It is the easiest chain in the entire world. And when you see how simple it is to make, you will kick yourself that you didn't think of it first. And if anybody wants those are on Etsy. There's really no discount for that, but you could put this, certainly put this heart bracelet on that chain, or you can make your own chain, but that is what I have. And somebody had asked me about purchasing an Aquarius bracelet, and I'm not sure I got the information on that in gold. So. Oh, the chain I just described is called Amy's chain. And I threw it up there on a whim yesterday, and I can't believe how many orders I've gotten for Amy's chain. I may have to add more instructions to it. It's nice and easy, and you could put it with almost any piece. Okay, I just wanted to hit this one chat so I could see if I could get this person. Arita is the one who wanted the Aquarius bracelet, I believe.
I think that Rita had to go. I'm not sure if she's still here. I've got her information for you, and I'll
Okay.
give you that right afterwards.
Okay.
But she says
all
that
right.
she will contact you for a few things on Etsy, an email. She'll contact you.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you could email me your orders, that would make it easy. Would be someone wanted colorways. Robin wanted colorways for something.
That was one of the pieces that you only had the one for. So she was asking about something in silver, you had gold, and she says that she wants to know whether or not you will just sell the rope part of the one that
Yeah, I can't just sell the rope part. I can't take that apart, especially since and
What?
Rochelle knows what I've went through getting these beads. It's taken 6 months. And I still can't get any more. So I can't right now do anything but the rope, with just the rope. I mean, at some point it may go to directions, but I don't have it that way now.
Totally understand. And then did you get in touch with Beth about the gold bracelet? Or
Okay,
peridot? Beth, what were you talking about? Can you?
Well, what I did was I brought up amy@beadjourney.com, and it doesn't let me treat it as an email because I was going to use it to email you.
Amy@beadjourney.com is not coming up.
Because you typed in an M, or at least if that was the same one that you copied to me, Beth, instead
Oh
of
my God.
journey with an N, you typed in M, so it's
So,
journey.
Okay, so we've got the stupid part done here. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Okay, hold-
If
yeah.
everybody would email me their orders, because
Okay, I did do it with Journey.
But yeah, you typed in Jeremy, it's
I know,
journey.
and that was in my text to you, but I did do it just with the other, and it wouldn't bring it up.
that's
It
weird.
says no matches for amy@beadjourney.com, and I spelled it correctly. So it doesn't have a Gmail or a,
I have another account you can email me at. It's ARA. I'm going to use my maiden name. CUBERT@AOL.com. And I checked that one as well. So
perfect.
basically whoever wants something is going to email me, right? Is that correct?
Yep, email Amy. That's the way to do it.
That's the best way to do it because as I'm going through these chats, it's really hard to figure out what's going on here as far as doing this.
Yep. So watch again and then
Repeat the
email.
last one again. The last one. Repeat that last email again.
ARACUBERT@AOL.com.
Perfect.
Okay. And I'm just staying on here to work on the chats, but I thank you all for coming and looking at my stuff today. It was really nice of you to be here.
Absolutely. I put it in the chat. Will you check that I typed it right, Amy?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
You did
good.
take it Great.
Should have asked me to do that. I could have messed it up. Oh,
Oh my gosh, you guys are so great. We really appreciate you hanging out with us on our Let's Be Live Saturday. And we want to have all these wonderful events. So if there's anything in particular you want to hear from us, message us on Upper Midwest Bead Society Facebook page and let us know what you would like on our Let's Bead Live Saturdays. Because you're part of the fun.
Leora asked, what were the colors again on the Bead Me heart? She had peridot, but she didn't know the other colors.
Oh, okay. I have zircon and I have I think it's a ruby. I'm just looking through the hearts. I had a blue zircon and a pink sapphire. And I can hold those up. That's the pink sapphire. It's very hard to see online, I know.
Well, you had it really good at the beginning.
Let me pull the blue zircon. One of my favorite stones is the blue zircon. I don't know why, but I'm just really drawn to this stone. There's the blue zircon. Hold it back a little, you can see.
Perfect.
And then this is the pink sapphire, and I do these all by hand. So every one of these little hearts is a teeny bit different. All right, ladies, is there anything else? I will go check my messages shortly and take care of whatever you'd like. And thank you so much for having me. And it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That was so gorgeous. Thank you so much, Amy.
Oh, you're welcome
Much work.
anytime. Have a great day. And if you ever have any questions or want to know about any of my products or whatever, just email me.
Will do. There you go.
All right. You have a great day.
So much. You
Bye.
too. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate. For more information, go to umbs.org. And there is a calendar page where you'll find our events. If you want to become a member, there's a member page with an easy PayPal link. It's only $35 a year. And we have 12 private meetings just for our members. And then we have our Let's Be Live Saturdays once a month, and those are free for everyone. So hope to see you at our next member meeting, Monday the 6th, and our next Let's Be Live, March 18th. On Saturday. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Rochelle.